Okay, so I'll read from chapter 1 of Srimati Radharani. And this is called Who is Srimati Radharani? I will just read the whole chapter and then we can share some reflections at the end and have a little discussion before we move on to the pastimes of Srimati Radharani. Specifically, we'll read the childhood pastimes, and if there's time, then we'll go into others as well. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So people in general do not know about Radharani. Radha Tattva is very confidential subject matter, which is hidden even from the Vedas. As a result, there are many misconceptions, or no conceptions at all, about Radharani. Srila Prabhupada says, the two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. The description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. So that's from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 56, purport. Okay. Radharani is not some ordinary lady, or even some special lady of this material world, with whom Lord Krishna is having pastimes. She is the pleasure-giving potency of the Lord, rendering service unto him eternally in the material and spiritual realms. In his book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has explained about Radharani by quoting a verse from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. So I'll just read this verse then. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shakti Asmad Ekatmana Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Vedam Gatoto Chaitanyakam Prakatam Adunatad Dvayam Chaikyam Apatam Radha Bhava Duti Subalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam Radha Krishna Ekatma Lui Deha Dhari Anyonye Vilasarasa Ashwadana Kari. In translation for that is the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna, transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separate themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. There's a purport here by Srila Prabhupada. The two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are puzzled to materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. One is enjoying in two. Krishna is the full potent factor, and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. According to Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other, any more than we can separate fire from heat. In fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavat devotee. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium, transmitting the living entities' service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan, therefore, seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna Okay, so the chapter goes on, but I'll pause there. And there are many, many quotations about the tattva of Srimati Radharani. But I just wanted to see, did you grasp the essence of what we have read this far, first of all? So what points could we raise from what we have read this far? Just adjust the camera.
So Radharani is the internal energy of Krishna, and she's the pleasure-giving energy of potency. I think I've heard it somewhere else. Ladini Shakti. That's Radharani. Yeah, and then I caught one of the sentences you said, that although they are two bodies, but they are a single soul. So they are one, but they manifest themselves in two.
Yes, that's right. So those two personalities are one in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, and there's no difference between Radha and Krishna in the sense that there's no difference between the light of the fire and the heat of the fire. Prabhupada gives that example, isn't it? Yeah. And so in that way, Radha and Krishna, they have they enjoy having mellows, they enjoy having pastimes with one another. Yeah, they complement each other. And so what is our role in all of this? We're not able to please Krishna without the mercy of Radharani. In other words, it's Srimati Radharani who gives us the facility to please Krishna. Yeah. So if Radharani gives us facility to please Krishna, then Krishna will be pleased, because she is his pleasure potency after all. Yeah. Anyone else have any other points? If you have any questions, then we can discuss.
Yeah, so I mean, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So even when we say, Hare Krishna, or even Radha Krishna, or it's always Radha who comes before. And for me, it's the action, which is the kind of feminine energy, which is basically how I see. Even when we say like Sita Ram, it doesn't make sense to me when we say Ram Sita or Krishna Radha, and it doesn't feel right. So there's something about both the feminine and the masculine, which is together when it's in the right balance, is both the action and the action that Krishna talks about. So without that balance coming from Shakti, the energy, there's nothing. There's just pure words, and that's where I see the power of just saying and being connected with Radha. It's like the servant of the servant, the servant. So see, it's someone who's already at the lotus feet of God. Then you would pray to her to be able to get closer. So it's already an easy access to Krishna just through understanding her. So that's yeah.
I like that key word. I like that key word you used at the end there. Well, gaining access. That's our access to Krishna. Srimati Radharani is our access to Krishna. And what's really important and why we're discussing this in our group is because we have access to Radha and Krishna like no other groups in even in the Hinduism context, in the Vedic context, or even in the Vaishnava lines, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's giving us access. He's Radha and Krishna combined. So that access is important for us, to access Radha and Krishna, to access these pastimes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who revealed Radharani Tattva to us. And what's the proof of that? Well, if you look back in history, 500, more than 500 years ago, 600 plus years ago, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there was no deities of Radharani. You go to some of the old temples, they don't have deities of Radharani, Radha Krishna. You might find Krishna Rukmini, you might find Krishna on his own, or Krishna Balaram, but or Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. But you won't find Radha Krishna deities more than 500 years old, because it was in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he revealed who this most special gopi is. That's Srimati Radharani.
So does that mean that nobody actually understood that Radharani was mentioned in all the Vedas? So all the munis and the rishis and the they must have understood from the Vedas that there is the hidden reference of Radharani. So why wasn't she brought to the forefront?
So in the modern day, that's not a well-known concept. It's become well-known in this day and age because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who came to give Raj Bhakti, the mellow of Vrindavan. Krishna gave those pastimes 5,000 years ago, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who's given us access to those pastimes. Access is an important thing. And so that's why we say Hare Krishna. We want to access Krishna through Radharani first. As Alex Prabhu gave nice examples. Okay. So Srimati Radharani is very much our Srimati Radharani by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can go on now to read some of the pastimes. We've got half an hour also, and then they'll give us a nice way to celebrate and honor Srimati Radharani's appearance day. Okay. So I'm going to jump forward in the book to chapter 14, which is called Narad Muni's first darshan of Radharani. So this is in the section called the childhood pastimes. Once while traveling the universe and playing on his veena, Narad Muni reached Goloka to take darshan of Lord Shri Krishna. He found that every pastime looked very pale. He sat down to meditate and thus understood that the Lord, along with his associates, had descended to the material world. Narad Muni desired to see the Lord in the material world, and so he traveled to Bhoma Vrindavan. First he came to the house of Nanda Maharaj. There he saw the Lord in his baby form, sleeping on the soft bed in a nice designed cot made of gold. All the cowherd ladies were watching him and deriving pleasure from the wonderful vision of Krishna. The Lord was pleasing everyone by glancing at them from the corners of his eyes. His blue-black curled hair scattered over his face was making him very beautiful. Narad Muni was very happy to see his worshipable Lord in this naked baby form and told Nanda Maharaj, "No one knows the unlimited qualities of your son. Even great demigods like Shiva, Brahma, and Indra desire eternal attachment to him. The character of this boy will be the cause of happiness for everyone. Devotees will love to hear and chant his activities. You should give up every hope for this world and the higher planets and simply develop love for this boy." Narad Muni then left Nanda Maharaj's house. He thought, "Now, Lord Sri Hari has appeared to display his pastimes in this material world. Thus, his eternal consort must have appeared as a gopi somewhere here in Vraj to help my Lord in his pastimes. There is no doubt about this. Today, I must go to the house of every Brajavasi to find her. Thinking like this, Narad Muni visited every house in Braj. He was received very nicely and worshipped by all the Brajavasis everywhere he went. Finally, Narad Muni reached the house of King Vrishabhanu. Narad Muni told him, "You are very famous all over the world for your religious nature. I can see. You are very rich, with so many opulences. Please let me know if you have any son or daughter. I would like to see them." Hearing this, Vrishabhanu Deva brought his most effulgent son, Sridham, to show Narad Muni and to offer obeisances to Munivar. By seeing the most beautiful form of the boy, Narad Muni was very happy. Out of great affection, he embraced the boy again and again and told Vrishabhanu, "Your son will be a dear friend of Krishna and Balaram. He will play with them day and night. He is very fortunate. Please take care of him nicely." Narad Muni was prepared to leave when Vrishabhanu Maharaj said, "This boy has a younger sister who, although as beautiful as the denizens of heaven, is blind, deaf and dumb. I request that you please be kind enough to make her normal by giving your holy darshan. Please come inside and bless this girl." Narad Muni became very curious and entered the room. There he saw the daughter of King Vrishabhanu playing on the ground. Immediately, Narad Muni picked up the girl and put her in his lap. He felt very jubilant to see the girl, the same jubilation he had felt when seeing Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. He was feeling so much ecstasy that he momentarily lost his senses and became stunned and still like a stone. When he came back to his external senses, he opened his eyes and was so surprised that he could not utter any words. Narad thought, "I have traveled everywhere, including Brahmalok, Rudralok, Indralok, but I have never seen so beautiful a girl as this. I have seen the daughter of Himalaya, Devi Parvati. Her beauty pleases everyone in this material world, but her beauty cannot touch this girl. The beauty of Lakshmi and Saraswati would not even equal the shadow of this girl. I have seen the Mohini form of Lord Vishnu, which bewildered Lord Shiva, but her beauty is not equal to the beauty of this girl. I do not have the power to understand the truth of this girl. She is a dear consort of Sri Hari. No one can understand her. Just by having darshan of this girl, I'm feeling so much love for Govinda. I have never felt such intense love for the Lord before. I must glorify her by offering prayers and obeisances to her in a solitary place." Narad Muni then offered his prayers as follows. "O Devi, you are Maha Yoga Swarupini. You are the chief consort of Goloka Bihari, Sri Hari. You are always immersed in the most wonderful bliss of mellows. I have received your darshan due to my great fortune. You are always engaged in meditating on your Prana Vallabha Sham Sundar, and thus deriving internal bliss. Your most beautiful and sweet face expresses the joy from experiencing your own bliss, and you are internally blissful and ever satisfied. You have given birth to Mahavishnu. You are the cause of cosmic manifestation, its maintenance and annihilation. You are Vishuddha Sattva, Swarup and Parashakti. You are the Brahma Gayatri and the mother of Shruti. Even great demigods like Brahma and Rudra do not know the tattva of your being. Yogendra and Munindra cannot understand you by meditation. Govinda's Icha Shakti, Gyan Shakti, and Kriya Shakti are your parts only. You are Ahladini Shakti, Ananda Rupini, and Ishwari. There is no doubt about this. Sri Krishna is having eternal pastimes with you in the forest called Vrindavan. In your baby form, you have bewildered the whole universe with your beauty. By that form, Nandanandan Sri Krishna also becomes bewildered and faints. I am surrendered unto your lotus feet and offering my humble obeisances to you. If you feel I am qualified, then kindly manifest your Kishori form to me. Narada Muni offered his obeisances to Radharani and started to glorify the beauty of Sri Krishna. When Srimati Radharani hears the glories of the form and qualities of her most dear Shyam Sundar, then she manifests her most complete form. Moreover, to hear from a great devotee like Narada Muni was more pleasing to hear. When Narada Muni started to glorify the beauty of Sri Krishna, then Srimati Radharani accepted her most attractive and beautiful Kishori form of a 14-year-old girl. At that time also all her Sakhis appeared there and surrounded Radharani. They were dressed nicely and decorated with many ornaments. By seeing this, Narad could not continue to offer his prayers any longer. He was in so much ecstasy that he became stunned and no words came from his mouth. The Sakhis then brought water and washed the lotus feet of Radharani and sprinkled that water upon Naradadev to bring him back to external senses. These girls, being merciful upon Narad Muni, told him, "O great Muni, you must have served Lord Sri Hari, who is eager to fulfill the desires of his devotees with great transcendental devotion. That is why today you have been able to see the most wonderful eternal Kishori form of Sri Hari Vallabh Radharani. Even Brahma, Rudra, great rishis, siddhas, munis and other bhagavats have not seen this form of Sri Radhika. For to speak of seeing her, they do not even know about her. Today, she has given you darshan in this Kishori form. You are very fortunate. O Brahman, be patient and get up, circumambulate Srimati Radharani, and offer your obeisances to her again and again. This most attractive form of Radharani is flickering like lightning. The Kishori form will now disappear." The Sakhis continued. There is one Ashoka tree on the bank of Kusum Sarovar at the foot of Govardhan. That Ashoka tree produces flowers always. The sweet smell of these flowers spreads all over the forest and makes the whole area very fragrant. You will again attain our darshan under that Ashoka tree at midnight. Later, when the proper time comes, you will see Radharani along with her Sakhis. Saying this, the gopis disappeared from there, and again Srimati Radhika assumed her baby form. Maharaj Vrishabhanu returned to the room. He saw Narad Muni offering obeisances to the child and asked him, "Oh Muni, why are you offering prayers to my baby daughter?" Narad Muni assured Maharaj Vrishabhanu that all was well, then he left the place. Okay, so I've just read this chapter. And I thought it would be good to go into a little discussion and just take any comments and questions you have from what we read. So this is, of course, talking about the arrival of Narad Muni to come and see Krishna, and he became curious to find out who is Krishna's consort in this pastime. So he went to all the homes to meet Radharani, and he almost didn't meet her. But then Vrishabhanu Maharaj asked that he bless his blind daughter with sight. And of course, he realized this was Srimati Radharani because of the ecstasy he felt in just seeing her. And then he goes on to offer prayers, and Radharani reveals her teenager form, the Kishori form, 14 years old. And then she disappears and returns to the form of a girl, while Narad Muni is offering his respects to her, he's bowing down to her. At which time Vrishabhanu Maharaj, her father, comes into the room. So he's like perplexed because he's expecting that his daughter is being blessed, but he sees that his daughter is being worshipped and being offered obeisances by Maharishi Narad Muni. So this is a summary of the first time. The next chapter is a short one. It's called Opening of Srimati Radharani's Eyes. So, do you have any questions or comments first before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, what I feel is that when you say it in English, it's somehow everything's lost in translation. So the words, I don't know how to explain it. When you use words which are basically, they don't do justice to Narad Muni's feelings,
Yeah.
and this is where even when I hear the words, even if I don't understand it in Sanskrit, it's totally different feeling. So when we say words which are like very base words because they don't have proper meaning in English, love or even it's just gone to a more material kind of connection. So that's how I feel. I think that this is where if this was in the original, sorry, I'm just so tired. If you say the words in terms of the Sanskrit words, or even in Hindi, I think you would have a better feeling for that moment where in the material world Narad Muni understands and has that revelation, because even when he sees Radharani in the Kishori form, he only sees this for a transient period of time, right? Because in the material aspect, there's constraints of Maya, right? And this is the limitations that we can not even understand, because it's beyond our senses and our words and language. So I think it's doing its best to explain the love and passion that Narad Muni has, but I feel that he's doing it a great disservice. So I mean, nothing personal to the way you described it. It's just the way even how I feel like at that moment, seeing part of Krishna in a feminine form is beyond. I don't know. It's beyond English words, at least. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your input. Yeah, there's little we can say, isn't it, to really appreciate Radharani enough. and the language doesn't translate.
Yeah, it doesn't translate, and it'd be good to see what the Sanskrit words were, because even in Sanskrit, when you actually hear it pronounced in the right way, everything about Krishna becomes a mantra. I mean, for me, so it has this connection, which is like it's just it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't even understand it. The sounds are amazing.
Yeah, for sure. With me, you're only going to get English though, so that's just tough.
That's fine. but Prabhu, it's good to realize the limitations of what we're trying to do. Because when I see the words, and then even when I try to understand the Sanskrit, I feel like there's such a disconnect between what I'm understanding with the limitations of English and and then I look into it, and I think when they use the word love, it's transformed into all my preconceptions of what love is in the Western world, but it loses all of its potency from the spiritual side. I mean, I just I don't know how to explain it, because it's just it just feels wrong. anyways Jai Shri Krishna.
No, we're going into this. We're jumping in, essentially. Like I said, we're going to just jump into the pastimes. I didn't read all of the aspects of the tattva, which would give better understanding of what's actually going on, the deeper levels, what's going on. So those are all there and explained in the book also. So I jumped 15 chapters to get into the story here, so you can always read those. And alternatively, you've also got Maharaj, he lectures in Hindi, in Bengali, Oriya, and other languages himself. So definitely go to the source, as we say.
I thought it was quite interesting that it is revealed that the original form of Radharani is when she's 14. So that's what her eternal form is, isn't it? So yeah, so that's something I learned today, that her eternal form is she's 14 years old.
Well, the actual thing is, there's all of her forms are eternal. None of them are material forms.
Yeah.
But she is definitely known as Nitya Kishori. So that's her most beautiful form, as it said. The most attractive and beautiful Kishori form. That's the form he wanted to see. Okay? So it wasn't that the other forms of her were any less or any... I mean, he felt ecstasy just seeing, and his devotion to Govinda increased, just seeing the baby form of Radharani with her eyes closed. So there was no less, but he came with a specific desire. He wanted to see that Kishori form, and so she blessed him with that. Okay. So yeah, definitely all the forms of Krishna and Radharani are eternal forms. They're not, none of them are material or mundane in any way. But they're they have this saying that there's perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. Yeah. So all are perfect. But if you really want to get into the the pinnacle of perfection, then that would be the Kishori form of Radha Krishna.
At 16 and Radharani at 14.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when Krishna goes through the different stages, we worship the forms as perfection, almost like it's several lives within one life. Like each even in the baby form, the childhood form, and then after when he does his sadhana and goes to the kind of the battlefield and so on, all of those forms are examples which are for me like pastimes of which are basically gods in themselves. Like they're examples, and they're complete within each stage of life. So when we worship the baby form and we see Govindam, in somebody, Gopalam in somebody else, like a child form, also it's worthy of worship in that form. Yeah.
Yeah. So each form of Krishna is eternal. So each one of those forms is having eternal pastimes. For the purpose of displaying all of Krishna's pastimes, or at least a life range of Krishna's pastimes, he progresses from one eternal form to another, and we get to see each one of those different pastimes that Krishna has. Yep. So that's why Krishna sometimes is mistaken to have a material body, but actually all those forms are eternal.
Yeah, that's much better than what I said, but that's what I meant as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I can move on to Smita Mataji. Do you have anything you want to share?
No, Prabhuji, thank you. Because you're going to go on to the next bit, which I like to, I think I know the story to that, how she opened her eyes, but I'd like to just listen to you.
All right, then, let's continue on. So chapter 15, opening of Srimati Radharani's eyes. On the day following Srimati Radharani's birth, Purnamasi Devi came to the house of Rishabhanu on the invitation of Kirtida. So Purnamasi is like the village guru. She's actually a disciple of Narada Muni, incidentally, and she's come to the house of Rishabhanu and Kirtida, who are the father and the mother of Radharani. As soon as she saw the baby girl, immediately she felt so much ecstasy and said, "It is none other than Raseshwari who has appeared in your house." She advised Kirtida and Rishabhanu, "Take nice care of this girl. She is the origin of Lakshmi Devi. She is Ishwari, the controller of Bhulok and Golok. She is always worshipped by Gopakanya, the coward girls. Great personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Marut, and Varun constantly offer their prayers at her lotus feet. Just as Sri Hari appears on this earthly planet by his sweet will, in the same way this girl, who is the eternal consort of Sri Hari, has appeared in your house. By seeing, touching, or worshipping this girl, all desires will be fulfilled. She has appeared here to perform some confidential pastimes. You must take care of her very nicely." After some time, when King Rishabhanu and Kirtida were looking at their beautiful daughter more closely, they suddenly realized she was not seeing anything. Her eyes were still closed. Everyone, including Kirtida, started to cry in distress that such a beautiful girl was blind. Still, even though she was blind because of her unparalleled beauty, everyone came to see the newborn daughter of Rishabhanu and Kirtida. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda came there, along with their son Krishna. Nanda Maharaj and Rishabhanu Maharaj embraced when they met, and Mother Yashoda was greeted with loving affection by Kirtida. She took her inside the house and also embraced her. Lord Krishna understood that his eternal consort Sri Radha had appeared in the house of Kirtida. Radharani, in the form of a baby girl, was lying on the bed, while both Yashoda and Kirtida were busy discussing the newly born girl and her unfortunate blindness. Sri Krishna climbed down from the lap of Mother Yashoda. Entering the room where Radharani lay sleeping, he climbed onto her bed and touched her eyes. Immediately she opened her eyes to take darshan of her beloved Krishna. When Kirtida and Yashoda saw Radharani's eyes had opened, they were very happy and immediately shared the news with everyone present. There was much jubilation in the home of Maharaj Rishabhanu and Mother Kirtida. There is another description regarding opening of Radharani's eyes. Mother Yashoda came to the house of Kirtida, carrying her son Krishna in her arms. When Yashoda saw the beautiful daughter of Kirtida, immediately she placed Krishna on the ground and picked up Radharani, cradling the child in her lap. Seeing this, Krishna became upset and started to cry. Yashoda bent down and picked up Krishna, also placing him on her lap. It is the nature of children that whenever they come together, they try to touch each other. When Radha and Krishna came close to each other in the lap of Yashoda, Krishna reached out to touch Radharani. At his touch, Radharani realized her Krishna was there, in front of her, and opened her eyes to take darshan of him. Her first sight on this earthly planet. The reason for Radharani taking birth as a blind girl is as follows. In Golok Dham, Lord Krishna was preparing to come to Earth planet to perform his Bhoma Leela. he mentioned to Radharani that she also has to come, to appear in his pastimes. But Radharani expressed her reluctance to come to earth because she would have seen so many people, when the only one she wished to look upon was Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna assured her that on earth she would be able to see him always. Radharani accepted on the condition that on earth the first person she saw would be him. That is why she appeared as a blind girl and gained her sight only in the presence of her beloved Shyam Sundar. So this is the Leela of how Radharani is kept her eyes closed, not out of any misfortune, but actually she wanted to save her first vision to be of Sri Krishna. Okay, so it's just it was just a manifestation of her affection to Krishna that she kept her eyes closed. So any thoughts or reflections on this?
Just that Radharani, the sole purpose of Radharani is Sri Krishna. I mean, there's nothing, she doesn't, there is, I mean, there's no meaning to her existence apart from Sri Krishna.
Yeah, she lives for Krishna, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are beautiful childhood pastimes of Radha and Krishna. There's still some time. I could read one more, perhaps. Let's see. Okay, so I'll read another one now from the chapter 24, which is in the section of so these are the youthful pastimes before marriage. Okay, so this one is called the Pearl Tree at Mukta Kund. This is a very short pastime. I'll just read. While Radharani was washing the turmeric from her hands in the pond, some people saw her and informed her parents. Vrishabhanu and Kirtida were so happy to hear that Yashoda put turmeric paste on the hands of their daughter, thus announcing her engagement to Sri Krishna, that they immediately sent a plate of precious jewels and gems to Nanda and Yashoda in honor of their future relationship. Nanda and Yashoda were very happy to receive these jewels and gems, but then Mother Yashoda realized that to accept the proposal of marriage, they also had to send a plate of precious jewels and gems to Radharani's parents. But they did not have jewels and gems. When Krishna came to know about this problem his mother was facing, he took the jewels sent by Vrishabhanu and Kirtida and planted them in the ground. Very soon, trees from the ground grew, their branches heavy with precious jewels. Happily, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai sent the jewels to Radharani's parents, and thus the marriage was agreed upon. Sometime later, Nanda and Yashoda went to Purnamasi to receive her blessings for the union. Purnamasi told them, if Radha and Krishna marry at this particular time, then their marriage will not last. Maybe in future they can be married, depending on their astrological charts. And so the marriage was stopped. Okay, so this is called the Pearl Tree, this pastime. Now there's a few Pearl Tree pastimes actually. This is just one of the renditions of this story about how Krishna, he receives pearls and he just pops them in the ground, and he actually in the detailed version he's actually pouring milk to to water them, but he pours milk to milk them, and then the pearl trees come up.
Prabhuji, Nanda Maharaj was very rich as well. Why didn't they have pearls?
Yeah, again, it's just this is just to exhibit the pastime. The form of the pastime was that Krishna could make a pearl tree happen. Yeah. So it's just the kind of, rather than being like that he didn't have pearls. He actually has so much wealth, we know that, but maybe at a particular time he didn't have pearls, and then therefore they could have this pastime.
And they were married, weren't they, Radha and Krishna, by Brahma?
Yes, they have a play wedding, but Brahma actually comes and performs the wedding ceremony. So in actuality, they are married. That's one viewpoint. But because it was a play wedding, from another viewpoint, they don't have they don't have a wedded relationship. They have a romantic relationship from the point of the past, from the point of their later pastimes. Yeah. Okay, so we're at 9 o'clock already. That's flown by, huh? Just got to cover a few short pastimes. Hope you guys liked it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Would be nice to read so much more in this book. But hey, we're out of time. Okay. Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Krishna ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande Haribol. Srila
Haribol.
Prabhupada ki jai.
So Prabhuji, if others are getting the book, then